The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps. The cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello. I'm having a technical difficulty, guys. Hello. I'm so sorry I had a freeze there for a second. I am so happy you guys are here. Let me close this out. How is everyone? Welcome, Michelle, Dawn, Bob, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I'm so happy you guys are here. Happy Friday. I'm so excited it's Friday. Hope you've had a great day. We are going to be breaking down the Bennington Triangle located in Vermont. And so it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about how it became that, the history on it. We're going to talk about 5 different cases of missing people. Only one has been found, and the way it was found was mysterious too. So, and then of course I have like a bunch of pictures to show you guys as always. Hello. I'm so happy you're here, Dawn. I had a great day. I'm excited to be here. So let's break into it. If you guys could just share this out if you have time. And I'm so thankful for the conversation. Hello, Ed. Welcome in. Yes. So Bennington Triangle. So you guys, I'm sure everybody has heard of the Bermuda Triangle and all the freaky stuff that happens in the Bermuda Triangle. But most people don't know there's other triangles too. So we have the Bermuda Triangle. And we have up in Alaska, there's an Alaska Triangle, which is really cool. So look forward to that here hopefully soon, because that has a lot to do with UFOs and all the cool stuff. And then smack in the United States, we have the Bennington Triangle. So we're going to break that down. The cases are really cool. The whole environment of it is really cool. And to this day, most of the people that are missing have not been found despite serious searches with FBI and helicopters and everything. It is really cool. So let me get my pictures going here so we can see what it looks like. Let me upload. I wish there was a way to make this do it faster. Let me get to my, here we go. Okay. Let's look at our location first. So here are beautiful mountains, the beautiful area that we're going to be discussing. Again, it's in Vermont and it's beautiful. What's the meaning of what is the meaning of the triangles? Well, it depends on who you ask. You know, the triangles is a certain point, and at each point they say it's a portal. They say, of course, it matches with the ley lines. There, I don't know the meaning of them. Like, it's so many theories on this particular spot has a certain electromagnetic field that allows for these phenomena to happen. It is a hot spot to help build the stamina for the phenomenon. It's like so much. It's a good question. I love that question. Rhonda, I'm so happy you're here. You guys had a great show. You always have a great show. I'm so happy. We're talking about the Bennington Triangle. I've never heard of that one. Yes, the Bennington Triangle. I wanted to choose this one because it has been not talked about a lot. My mind went blank for a second. So in Glastenbury Mountains, bam, right here where we're talking about, this is where we are really going to see what we need to talk about for these cases. So let's break it down. How big is the triangle? Let me show you on a map perspective. Let me pull up the map. Hello, Amy. Hi, Mandy. Welcome in, everybody. I'm so happy you guys are here. Let me just get you a little map up here so you can kind of see like what I'm talking about. So, okay. So here's a side by side because some people like different kinds of maps. So as you can see, this is the triangle I'm referring to. Now, it doesn't have exact borders like it looks like in the picture. You know, in Bermuda and Alaska, there's like an exact geography of borders. But this is the closest you're going to get. It's about 200 to 300 square miles, you know, in diameter. It's filled of mountains, full of dense like woods and grass and all the things. Hello. Hi, mi amor. Hello. Do I want to overlay so you guys can see this? But I don't want to be distracting. Is it going to mess it up? Okay. If it makes the pictures too small, I can hide it back. So happy here. Okay. So just so I'm clear, my main focus will be the Glastenbury Mountains, but it also covers Woodford, Shaftesbury, Bennington. That's why it's called the Bennington Triangle, and Somerset. So mostly southwestern Vermont as well. Hello, Heidi. I'm so happy you're here. Boulder. Is that in Colorado? Is that the right spot? Because I just had a friend that I got to see today from Colorado, and she's back at home safe now. Thank you, Ed. Hello, David, Amy. Yes. I'm so happy here. So let's talk about, before I tell you who coined the Bennington Triangle, and why can't you see me? There we go. I don't like that. I'm trying to figure out how to make this. I'm going to move the chat for a second. I'm trying to figure out a good way to, hi, baby. Okay. I think I liked it better the way I had it. Okay, there we go. So before I tell you who coined the Bennington Triangle, I'm going to break down the history of the actual area. So what was it like? What led up to cause this kind of phenomenon? So we have to go back, as always, to our beautiful Native Americans and what they had to say about it. Please hit the thumbs up so we are seen, and hit the heart to push the algorithms. Hello. Glenda, welcome in. Yes, in Colorado. I love it. Okay, I'm going to get, so back in the day, before all of us came along the way, there was an amazing tribe, Abenaki tribe, and they called this particular part of the mountain the Forbidden Mountain, the Forbidden Land. In their culture, they believed that Glastenbury Mountain was where all four winds met at a point. So north, south, east, and west. All the winds flowed to the spot and they all touched at one time. That is pretty phenomenal stuff. So if you're somebody that participates in any kind of ritualistic work, this would be like a golden spot for you to do your thing, right? There's so much that can happen here. But for them, because the winds met at a perfect point at this spot, they believed that it was not good. It was not good. They thought that it opened up a portal, that if you went into this area, that you would disappear to another dimension, another realm, whatever you want to call it. So they were like, nope, you don't want to go in there. It's dangerous lands. Hello. Glenda is in the house. So happy to see you. And Heidi and everybody. So they had really, really big beliefs that you do not want to go in there. If you went in there, you would disappear. And I'm going to talk about 5 cases where people actually did disappear. And these people should not have, because these are some people that did this all the time, and then bam, no trace, except for one. And so we have this beautiful tribe, and they're like, nope, all 4 winds meet here. There's these ghost lights going on here. All this stuff, we're not going to miss out. So they named it the Forbidden Forest. I'm glitching. My phone is on its own. Oh, is it me? I hope it's not me too, because I had a problem getting on. Hello, Steve. Welcome in. So to start out, remember, we're just talking about the history first, and then I'll talk about who coined it, and then I'm going to break down these cases because they're really cool. So we have this beautiful tribe. What else happened? So a lot of times, and how it got its name, of course, we'll talk about that in a minute, but if you go through the trails of this beautiful mountain range, your compass, and if you're one of these people that use compass, I don't know many people that do anymore, but if you do, your compass is probably going to malfunction. So think about that. Same thing in Bermuda. If you go to the Bermuda Triangle, what happens a lot of times, the compasses and the planes and all their stuff goes haywire. Same thing here. So we have to look into, it's definitely on my end. Okay, it's getting better. Okay, good. I was worried. No, you're coming through perfect. Okay, cool. Because like my video was like glitching so bad, and I was like, oh no, not tonight. So think about that. If you're somebody who, because most of my cases are back in the 40s and 50s, and back then we didn't have cell phones. So if you relied on a compass, and if you're out in the middle of a forest with a compass, and then it doesn't work no more, then you're kind of in a touchy situation, because what do? You got to hope you know your way back. See, your girl right here, I'd be so lost. Me and woods just don't match. If I'm going in the woods, somebody has to go and know something, and that's going to fight off the snakes, because I don't like them. Hello, welcome in, Dragon. I'm so happy you're here. So that's why they really pinned it next to Bermuda and next to Alaska, because all 3 of these locations, with a whole bunch of more in the world, but these 3 main ones have problems with compasses. So what does that mean? That means that something is up with the electromagnetic field, and that is why, as paranormal people, what do? We take these little gadgets and we look for EMF, right? We want to see how the field fluctuates. Why does things happen? A lot of phenomenon happens because the field gets wonky, and it creates all this energy, and then the energy is used by spirit or whatever you want to call it to say, hello, we're here. And it also interferes with planes and things like that, which is not a good sign. Hello. I'm so happy. Also, another point to talk is it's actually a ghost town now. Ghost town meaning it's abandoned. So let me pull up I got some really cool pictures of that too. Here we go. Let me see. Do I have an actual date? 1800s. I don't have an actual date in the 1800s, but in the 1800s, this particular side of the state was known as a logging town. So a lot of people came for work. They worked in the logging industry. Here's a picture right here that is actually from this point. And I have a few more to kind of show you guys what it looks like back then. So the logging industry is booming and thriving, and next thing you know, it's not. They kind of like dissipates here, and if there's no logging industry to do, what happens? You don't have a job, you have to move. So abruptly, once their jobs ended, everybody kind of left, and that's why it's known as a ghost town now, because a lot of the buildings, well, some of them over time, the things fall apart and things, but this stuff still stays behind. So what does it do? It creates an imprint. So all the energy of all these men working and all the, stuff going on, of course we had wars and things like that, creates an imprint on the land. Remember, going back to the Native American time, they said this was a dangerous, forbidden place. You should not even be in it, because you're going to disappear. You're going to go through a different dimension. Yes, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me make sure I have another one of the logging. I think I always love these old pictures because it just kind of gives you a glimpse of, oh, here's one where the coals when stuff were. See, these are pictures that I actually was able to pull. And this is what it would have looked like back in the 1800s if you were there. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Make sure. Do I have? Oh, one more. I have one more of what it looked like back then. I try to get you guys a bunch of pictures. So see, could you imagine this? And there's actual people in this photo. So this is kind of what it would look like if you lived there back then. You had these old log homes, and they probably worked all day into the night, probably 7 days a week. They might have took one day off for rest. And next thing you know, boom, it's no longer a thing. It kind of dissipates. And now you have to leave the state to go find a different job or go wherever work takes you. And that's how they did. So when you have the whole town abruptly leave, you have a ghost town. Yes. I picked this one. I was like, you can feel like what it's like to live. Like me, I would probably, well, I don't know about Vermont. I've never been to Vermont, so I don't know what the weather is like. But like here in Virginia, I'm melting. So I cannot imagine not having AC and plumbing and all the things. And then you have to account for all the things that go bump in the night in the woods. No, I'm good. The one before this one, was that the coal one? Um, was it this one right here? I'm sorry. I lost my order. Which ones I put up? Was it this one that you felt? This is where they kept all the coal at. I hope it was that one. If not, of course, at the end. Sorry, a train's going by my house, of course. Go figure. If not, I will repost it at the end. I always go through the pictures again. So let's also, another big thing about this we have to look at. Let's see. Rhonda says, you made a good point of where you would think it would be in an ideal spiritual place. In shamanism, we call it the four directions as part of a ritual do work. I find it really interesting that Americans felt it was a bad place. I almost wonder if they just wanted to keep those out. They could not. Fascinating. That's a good point, Rhonda. I like that. And maybe I overstepped. So, well, they did kind of say bad, but they, for them, it's because they thought they would disappear. They thought that if you walked into it when their four winds met, and you would disappear. But you're right. Maybe they just wanted people not to come because it's such a beautiful, kind of like most people today, a lot of people, if you live in a haunted home, you may not want everybody to know because everybody's going to start flocking to your home. Think about Amityville. If you live in the Amityville house now, everybody's riding by your house trying to take pictures of your house. You have no privacy. So I kind of get that. Hello, freaking awesome paranormal show. I love that show. I love all guys. If you please make sure you take the time and check out some more of the shows during the week. They are amazing. Okay, so we talked about Native Americans. We talked about the fact that it became a ghost town. Also, we have to talk about the trails itself. Let me see if I can get you guys a good one. Okay, so this is kind of what if you're out there and you're gonna walk the trails, this is kind of what you're gonna see. It's beautiful. It's considered the long distance trail in the United States. I don't know exactly like how many miles you'd have to walk to get through it, but it's pretty long. But so people that have studied the Bennington Triangle, they say that in particular, what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, is Bennington sits on what we call ley lines, right? So if you are somebody who's never heard of a ley line before, I'm going to show you a picture of kind of what it looks like. I included it. I talked about this a few weeks ago, but I'm going to repeat it because it comes up a lot when we talk about spooky, when we talk about all the things. So ley lines are all over the place. You can pull up a grid to find out if you're home. If you have a lot of activity, you probably are on one. If you have water near your home, running streams, different things like that, you're probably near a ley line. And so where the ley lines meet, those points, then that's where you can have the most activity. If you are somebody that does ritualistic practices, that is like your spot that you're going to want to do. If you need a little oomph to it, you'd want to go there. I mean, it's like a whole thing. So when we break it down, a lot of people will say that Bennington is sitting on a ley line, and that is why all the winds touch there, and that is why they thought it was a portal. Or maybe it is, hey, I don't know. But that is why, I'm sorry, I have hiccups, guys. But that is why they were like, I don't know, it's something's going on here. Again, if you're just tuning in, let me just show you. You have to see this again. It is so beautiful. You can't get enough of it. It's breathtaking. I love mountains. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. All right. So, how did we get the name Bennington? Well, obviously it's a town, but let's talk about who decided, hey, do I have, here he is, Joseph. Mr. Joseph. Now, in the 1990s, now the cases I'm going to talk about will take place way before he just, decided to say, hey, we're going to call it the Bennington Triangle, and here we go. I have done some super focusing on ley lines, always been intrigued and drawn to them earth shockers, dragon lines. Isn't it amazing? I love ley lines. Like, I'm always trying to figure out which location is sitting on one, why they're there. If it is sitting on one, do they have fresh running water, streams? Do they have, all the things? Ley lines are really cool, guys. So if you ever want to research something really fun, ley lines is great. So this is Joseph Citro. In the 1990 or 1990s, he coined the term Bennington Triangle because he noticed that in this particular place, there was a lot of Bigfoot sightings. There was a lot of ghost lights. And on top of that, people all of a sudden were popping up missing back in the 40s and 50s with no trace, minus one. And it was really eerie. He said that, he felt because of the compasses messing up, he kind of coincided again with Bermuda. And he decided, hey, it has a triangular aspect just like Bermuda. Things are going haywire. People are missing. We're going to coin it the Bennington Triangle. Vermont is very cold and snowy. Really? I guess, yeah, the mountains, that makes sense. I've never been, but now this might have to be on my bucket list. It might have to be. So again, we have him to think about it. He is a folklorist. And did I write something else about him down? I didn't want to admit. Yeah, he was just pretty much, he's just like me and most people. He's fascinated by all the things that go bump in the night, the lore, the legends, why things happen the way they happen, things like that. And then he started writing books and things like that. And there we go. We have Bennington. Now is the fun part. I gave you all the history. Now is the fun part. We're gonna break down the cases. So I have a ton of pictures, guys. So this is kind of an overview we're gonna talk about to give you a. So we're gonna break down these people right here. I'm gonna break down them individually by. I try to get the dates in order. So that way we kind of have a timeline, and I'm pretty excited. So let's start with, my mom used to visit Vermont and it's gorgeous. Really? I bet it is. Look at that picture. That picture alone is like, wow. All right. Where is my first? Yeah, let's look at this picture real quick. I have another one of the other thing, and then I'll get Mr. Mitty up here. Like, look at that. Could you imagine camping and that is your view? That is breathtaking. If you're somebody that meditates or does visualizations, like, could you imagine sitting in the grass and this is where you're meditating? That is just breathtaking. Okay, let's talk about some of these cases. Okay. We're going to start with this news article. I couldn't really get a picture, guys, of like him perfectly. Again, this is 1945. We have a 74-year-old seasoned hiker. This man has done it many, many times. He was leading a group of hikers, kind of showing them, hey, this is the trail. This is what it's like. He was leading them. And he kind of walked ahead of the group was stopping to take pictures. They're oohing and ahhing. This is their first time at this location. So Mr. Mitty is kind of going ahead. And the people that are with him realize he's either really ahead or he's disappeared. In their mind, they didn't think anything. They just said, we're getting towards the end of it. Maybe he just went back to the starting point, to the camp where they were starting out. So they followed the trail back, and he was not there. So they started calling around and was like, hey, our tour guide, our hiker is gone. Where is he? So they kicked off a search and rescue thing to come find him, and they could not find him. They had everything out there. The only thing that they found was one little bullet casing by the stream, but nothing else. There was no signs of somebody bleeding. So if you think if there's a bullet casing, maybe he shot an animal or something. No blood, no footsteps, nothing. He vanished into thin air. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything about him. Yeah. So again, like I said, he knew this trail like the back of his hand. He had marched this trail many times within his 74 years of life. And this particular time, he just decided, he didn't decide, he just vanished into thin air. I have underground streams under my homes, yes, ley lines, and yes, haunted. Ooh. I have a train track like right outside of my backyard. Like you go through my backyard and it's like a little bit of woods and it's like this really long train track and it shakes my whole house when it goes by. And I'm just like, it's like I wonder if something's over there. Because we sometimes we'll hear things at night and it's like a whole thing. It's probably just a deer, but you know. So 74 years old, never seen again, no trace, no clothing, no footprints, just one bullet casing. And what else? Nothing. This man, if he was to get, they said, well, maybe he got delirious all of a sudden and he walked off the path. But this man had been in the woods so much that he knew if he did, he would know how to survive. He would know what to do to get back. This is not his first rodeo. And so he is still to this day a missing case and never found any bones, nothing. They searched for days, no tracks. Let me see, I wrote that down. But that was it. And this was November 12th, 1945. Okay. And, that's kind of crazy, especially for the hiker, because they're like, well, we just saw him. He was just here. Okay. I'm trying. My pictures did not show up in order like I had them so perfectly. All right, so this is Beautiful Paula. Beautiful Paula was an 18-year-old, December 1st, 1946, 18-year-old college student. Every day she would go walk the trail. Every day. It was not uncommon for her. She would walk the long trail, the one I showed you at the beginning, and she would come back, and so she was wearing a bright red jacket. And a few people that happened to be on the trail saw her in the red jacket, and then they didn't see her anymore. She completely disappeared. No trace of a jacket, nothing. She was just, and again, every day on her like little break or when she came home, she would walk the trail and then she'd come on back home. She told her roommate, hey, I'm going to go for a walk. Hours and hours went by. Roommates calling around like, have you seen her? Nobody's seen her. So they kick off again, another really long investigation. They got everybody out here with the dogs. They got the people, cops, everything is looking for her and they can't find her. She, to this day, has still not been found either. The World War II ended in 1945. Ooh, did it? I need to write those dates down. Sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'm like, David, what year did this end? Because it all kind of goes scrambled in my head. I'm more inclined with the Civil War because I'm in Virginia and, it happened. So it's talked about more here in Civil War. But good to know, Dawn. Thank you for that. So again, Beautiful Paula Weldon. Of course, there's theories that, maybe somebody took her. And that's a possibility. She could have got lost. An animal could have attacked her. There's a lot of theories here. But again, we're talking about 300 square miles. A lot of looking, no signs of struggle. People saw her. People saw her walking fine. She was happy doing her walk, and then she was gone. Colorado is filled, let me see, with underground water sources from Snow Mountain, where I live now, but it has a running creek. Oh, but the train tracks and a high voltage power hub all within 75 feet. Oh, you have a perfect storm for all the phenomenon. I want to go to Estes Park out there in Stanley, and I want to be where Stephen King was writing his book and saw this, his wife saw the spirits and all that. That would be so much fun. Let me see. Love that about dragon lines. It resonates with the path I take. Dragon realm and dream travel. Oh, you dream travel? That is amazing. I love that. I love to hear that people dream, and what they do in their dreams and how they're able to control it. I think that is so cool. Okay. Again, that's Paula. Let me see. Next on the list. Oh, she was December 1st, 1946. And also the FBI got involved in her case. Okay. Then we have James. I'm trying to make sure I go in dates. He's a pretty cool case too. So I see so much weird. I bet you do. So December 1st, 1949. This is a really cool case because it was to the date 3 years exactly after Paula had vanished. And so he was a resident of Bennington, but he was leaving St. Albans City and he was heading on the bus. So he's on the bus. Everybody on the bus sees this man. They see him and, they ride the bus. He speaks to a few of the people on the bus. But when they got to their stop, before the bus even opens its door in Bennington, they look around and this veteran is gone. I'm like out of thin air, could not have got off the bus because the bus hadn't stopped. The bus had not opened its doors. And the people that he had communicated looking around like, where did the veteran go? Hey, Kristen, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. Where did this veteran go? How was he on the bus? And then he's gone. Sorry, I'm catching up with the chat. I have dragon friends here. I swear they live between the snow-capped Rocky Mountains. I bet they do. Welcome in. Kristen is in the house. So happy you made it. So again, we have a veteran on the bus coming from St. Albans, heading to Bennington where he lived. And before it stopped, he disappeared with thin air. No trace, no nothing. No way to get off the bus. He's just gone. Yeah, and this is true stories, guys. You guys, of course, if you want, any of you guys can always dig a little deeper. There's a lot of news articles if you can find them. They're not hard to find, but they kind of get harder and harder to read as you dig because they're older. But it's really cool. So, again, we're talking. This was 3 years exactly to the day after Paula had vanished, the girl before this. Yeah, it is really cool. Okay. Next, we're going to jump to October 12th, 1950. Just make sure I don't have to look down on my dates because I always get my dates messed up. Okay. Hello, Michelle. Hi, Melanie. Beautiful Kristen. Yes. That's okay. I understand. I think it's weird because I was having issues when I first started. So an 8-year-old boy goes missing. He's outside playing. His mom, unfortunately, takes her eyes off of him for a second or two. I don't know how many seconds, but he disappears into thin air. And just like Paula, he was wearing a red jacket. So when they go to search for them and they got his picture up and they're looking for him, they're like, he has a red jacket. She had a red jacket. It's really intriguing how that could be a coincidence, obviously, but hello. How do you find out if you live on a ley line? So good question. Let me pull that back up. Hold on. Let me pull up my ley lines in case anybody popped in and doesn't know what that means. So thankfully, we live in 2025 where there are certain ways, and I'm not a tech person, so I don't know how they do it. I have to do it the old-fashioned, look it up and kind of figure it out way. But there's like a grid thing you can do on Google Maps, and like there's different things that can do it. I'll have to figure that out from a tech person and then message me and I'll get you an actual answer. But there's like, I talked to somebody and they're like, there's some kind of grid thing you can do with the maps and it puts the grid perfectly over there so you can see where the ley lines are. But I'm not 100% sure. But if your house is haunted, you have some kind of water stream, maybe some kind of power thing going on near it. You're probably sitting on one. Dowsing is supposed to be a good tool. Yes. So I right here. If you dowsing rods, I know everybody in the paranormal. If you can see these, let me make myself bigger. Okay. So dowsing rods. You know, everybody in the paranormal now uses them to talk to spirits, but they were originally created to find water. So people would go out and hold them together, and where the things went would be where your water was. And that's why these are a really good tool to use multi-purpose. Loving this with the dates, Ashley. It's like you're taking. Oh God, I'm hitting myself in the face. My things don't like me. It's like you're taking us time traveling with all these old stories. Just yes. One thing about me, guys, is I'm always gonna try to have something that way you're not just looking at me. You got something to look at. And I always have my dates because I feel like it's important. And if I have the dates and you guys want to look further, then you have something to go off of. Yeah, Mandy, I will get you an accurate, like, how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I wish I did. Okay, let me put this back. Okay, let's go back to our 8-year-old. Where did he go? There he is, Paul Jepson. Sorry about that. And what did I say? Paul was October 12th, 1950. So the mom, he was playing, and the mom went to go check the pigs and turned her eyes for a second, and boom, he's missing. He's wearing a red coat like we saw before. And they had a ton of people come and they looked for him and they did not find him. And let me make sure I didn't miss anything. You know, obviously, if you're 8 years old, this is a good time we talk about if he got lost. Obviously, the elements would probably get to him. I don't, we're talking October. It's probably cold or getting cold. I don't know about Vermont, how that works, versus their weather, but it's a good chance. Obviously, if there's some kind of like bears and things like that can attack him, there's a lot to look into this case right here. But he was never found. He's still missing. Yes. Okay. Then we're gonna move to October 28th, 1950. Now remember, this was October 12th. So what is that? 2 weeks later? 2 weeks later. Okay. About 2 weeks later. Okay, let's talk about Frida. She is 53 years old, and her husband were taking a hike in Glastenbury Mountains. She slipped and she fell into the stream a little bit. She got her clothes wet. Obviously, again, it's October. It's probably getting cold. You should not have wet clothes on you. That's how you get hypothermia versus all kinds of illnesses. So she tells her cousin, hey, I'm going to run back, change my clothes, and I'll be back. I don't know how deep they were into it, but, obviously enough for her to go out and come back. So hours go by and she doesn't return. So the cousin, of course, decides, I'm going to go back and figure out, what is going on. Now, this is the only one that was found. So they go through all the places that they can go to. They're checking all the spots. They're checking the trail. They're checking the forest. They're checking the mountains. And so they deem they can't find her. I mean, they have looked over these places thoroughly. A few months go by, and I don't know if they got tipped off or they decided, hey, we're going to go look again. And they found her. This is some cool history that my high school needed to teach. Oh, yeah. My high school didn't teach anything cool. It was all boring stuff. Well, not all boring, but most of it was. So, but they're saying, okay, why is that mysterious if you found her body? The thing is, where they found her body, they had already checked multiple times. Months later, it was almost like she disappeared, and then months later, she returned to the spot. Of course, deceased. They could not get a cause of death for her because obviously months went by, you start to decompose. And it wasn't like she was hiding when they found her body. She was like, boom, there I am. And this is, like I said, this is an exact spot that they had thoroughly combed over multiple times. and she all of a sudden popped back up. So that kind of gave way to the whole portal story, right? Could she have popped out and then popped back in and then passed away? I mean, or maybe, I don't know how that works, but we don't know. But she is the only one in that time frame that has been found. And it sucks because it really upset her. You know, obviously it was really hurtful for her cousin because she was like, maybe I should have left and went back with her, and you know, it would have been a different outcome. We don't know that. Again, these people had, most of them, minus the veteran who was on the bus, but most of these people, and the little boy obviously, had been in these hikes and these trails many, many times. So this is not new. But yeah, so she was the only one found. Okay. So here is, I think this was for Paula. Here's an actual photo. And see, there's a long trail, and then they're looking. They got the maps. We have the cops, and they're like, you know, we need to find her. I think this one was for Paula though, not for Frida. Let's see, what am I not? Okay. Here is Paula's. I wanted to point out this too. So Paula, the college student I showed you, you can't see it in this picture, but back in the 40s, they had even offered $5,000 to anyone who could tell them her whereabouts. That's how desperate they were to find them. So it wasn't like she wasn't loved and they weren't looking. They were really desperate to find her. She was the one that the FBI came out and looked for too. I never heard of these. I'm so happy you came. You know, I'm always so grateful that anybody that even comes and joins in the conversation. I'm glad. I'm trying to get you guys something different than the ordinary stuff. So I don't know if obviously in 1940 something, $5,000 is a whole lot of money. So could you imagine how much that would be? So they were combing the area, but she was never found. Let me show you. I have one more picture of her because she was one I really studied. I really think that in my opinion, I think somebody took her, but I could be wrong. Here's another picture of her because she was beautiful. I mean, look at that. She's beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Very, very. Okay. Now, also to point out, this is a high spot for our friend, Mr. Bigfoot. Obviously, the mountains are dense. You know, they're thick. There's mountains. Not a lot of people, but quite a few people have swore that they've seen a Bigfoot-like creature in these mountains. If that was me, I'd probably be after I took a picture, I'd probably be on top of the leaves trying to get out of there. I don't know how I'd feel if I saw Bigfoot. I would definitely want a picture before I peed on myself. But so could it be Bigfoot? Now, for me personally, I fully believe that Bigfoot is an interdimensional creature. And so he can pop. So maybe they're always here, but we can't always see the dimension, or maybe they can pop in and out. I mean, I'm not an expert, so I don't know. I've never got to interview Bigfoot. Nobody knows. But he is seen in this area a lot. So why is that? Now, going back, just to kind of go back through the theories of how this stuff happens. Remember, I told you, just like with Bigfoot, compasses tend not to work here. They go funky. They just start going crazy. So that really sucks. Back then, if you were relying on that bad boy to get you safely home, you were probably not going to make it. And when we look into that, we look at the electromagnetic field. So here's the Earth, and here are the different levels of the electromagnetic field and how they're going around and about and all the things. So anytime there's a fluctuation in there, things can go wonky. You know, all of a sudden the planes, their GPS is messed up. They don't know. And if you're in the plane and your GPS is messed up, then how do you know where you're going? Ships, if you're in a ship in the water, especially in Bermuda, and your GPS or whatever they use out there on the ships is not working, then what do you do? I mean, like I'm talking about back then, of course, 2025, we have all kinds of cool technology, and there's other methods. So back then you had to rely on that compass or that map, and you know, what do you do? That's why haunted locations, most of them, when we have a spirit present theirself and we're using our little doohickeys right here to say, hey, what level is the electromagnetic field? This thing will start going off, and next thing you know, there's something moving, or maybe an apparition or whatever popping up to say, hey, I'm here. And that's why you do your baseline, because if you have nothing going on, all of a sudden it's flashing, there's been a difference in the electromagnetic field. Something has triggered it, something has changed it, and that is really big. So is the electromagnetic field wonky there? Is it higher? Is it lower? What is the level like? Nobody's really checked that I know of. Let's see. I love this. I feel Bigfoot slips in and out of sight so quickly it seems as though he is jumping in and out of portals. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree. Or is it that he's always here? Like when we look at dimensions, right? What if they are, and we look at parallel universes, right? So, that's a whole beast in itself, right? For a parallel universe. So let's say right here, I'm talking to you guys. I'm a mom of 5 kids. I'm an autism mom, but maybe in a parallel dimension, I don't have kids. I'm a businesswoman. I don't do the paranormal. So what if, Bigfoot is on a parallel dimension, and every once in a while, like I said, he kind of flip flops, right? So he's in our dimension, he jumps back. There's so many things that you can look into, right? And it's really cool. I love the theories on interdimensional beings, on parallel universes. Parallel universes is a really fun thing for me. I love the thought that, we're living in this parallel universe and maybe there's another one. And then, there's all these possibilities of what we could be in a different one. It's pretty cool and kind of scary. It says also electromagnetic storms. You're right. Yes. Storms create what? Electricity. Electricity creates what? Energy. Energy is then permitted and transmitted to help anything occur. That's why, lightning storms, boom, paranormal activity. Any kind of electrical storm, they need it. If you live near one of those big electrical towers, a lot of times you'll see more phenomenon because you're getting that, you're getting that big boost, right? I'm gonna be interested to see what they do with all this like 5G and all stuff and how that works. I don't know. That's something still new for me, but I'm really interested to see how that will coincide. Okay. And Heidi agrees. I thought Bigfoot to be mostly with dimensional. Yes, I like that. We would see them in the woods as we walked the roads a lot in Glencoe, New Brunswick, country. Really? You saw Bigfoot? That's cool. We should talk. I might need to get you on the show. I need a good Bigfoot story from somebody that actually has seen Bigfoot. That would be amazing. Let me take the electromagnetic field off. Okay. Just so in case anybody's just popping in and needs a map, again, this is the area we're talking about. Hattie says, I have looked into the unbalanced energies of the sun and the correction of EVP topology. It was explained like a huge radio antenna. Yes. Yes. You would hear branches crackling and then see them briefly. That is so cool. You would see me like on top of the leaves getting out of there. Anytime I walk in the woods, I'm like, you don't hear nothing. You don't hear nothing. Just keep focused, Yeah, I always think back to the Appalachian Mountains and like, hearing your name getting called and hearing whistling, and I'm like hearing babies cry. I'm like, don't hear anything. Nope. I didn't hear my name getting called. I'm just focused on the task, right? Where am I trying to get to? That is so cool. I would love for you to tell me more on your stories of seeing Bigfoot. If you're ever up to it, no pressure. I would love that. So again, this is our triangle. There seem to be 3 of them at a time. Yeah. So think about that. Is it like, do they stay in pairs, right? Or not more than a pair, but do they stay in multiples? There we go. Is there always more than one? Think about that. If you were a creature, animal, human, nobody wants to be alone. No one wants to be alone. So in my opinion, there's probably Bigfoot and Bigfoot babies out there. That's what I want to believe. Because there's no way there's just one, right? It's impossible. Because Bigfoot is seen everywhere. Unless, we're jumping dimensions and maybe. Okay. Now we have to look at, it's all funny, fun to talk about electromagnetic field and things like that. But we do have to talk about the obvious when you go missing. The element. Let's look at this. If everything looks the same, so if you're an hour or two walking into this and you get lost, how do you know where to go? Right? How do you know left, right, sideways? What if your phone doesn't work? Like when I'm out into like country areas, my phone doesn't work. I have a horrible signal. Um, I can't, let's see. Al already says I can't drive through cemeteries. Always hear spirits talking. That is so cool. I could feel it. So when I was working in the hospital, and like, guys, the thickness of the hospital is on a different level. And my very first night I was there, and they found out I was into the paranormal. They're like, "Oh my God, we got to take you to the haunted CT room." It's a CT room they don't really use anymore. And a lot of the people that worked there refused to go in there because it was haunted. And so I was like, yeah, it was the middle of the night, and it was kind of slow at that point. I was like, let's go. And they took me to it. And when I tell you, like, all the hairs on the back of my neck was standing up, and I was so excited because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, it's haunted. Does anybody want to come out? I had my phone ready. I didn't get anything cool, but like the atmosphere, you can feel it. So I believe you when you say you can hear the spirits talking. Um, I always joke about that. I'm like, how would anybody want to stay in a cemetery? Like me, if I'm gone and I can haunt anything, I'm furthest from a cemetery. I'm going to go travel. Have to use the stars to navigate. Don, that's a good point. And you know what, guys? No one, I don't care what anybody says, no one really 100% knows. Because unless you have passed away and seen everything, and you come back and you can remember it, you don't know. We don't know. We don't know what happens when we're gone. We all have our faith and our beliefs, and you should believe in something, but no one truly 100% can tell me what happens, right? Um, we don't know. We know there's something. There's something going on there beyond our normal realm, but what is it? So just to kind of touch base on this again, so you could get lost. Obviously, if you put me in the middle of the woods and tell me to come back home, I'm gonna probably be missing because I don't know how to navigate. Guys. If you gave me an old fashioned map, I would be so lost. That's how I was joking with my kids, how we're so inclined to have these phones. We have these phones, and you put the address and where you want to go, and they can tell you how to get there by car, walking, whatever. Take this step. What if you gave me a map and said, "Hey, you're here, get here," I would be so lost. You can ask my uncle, guys. I would be crying. I would probably starve to death because I'm not eating no squirrels or rabbits or nothing like that. And it ain't if I have to prepare it, it ain't happening. And berries, half of them are poisonous, so I'd be at a lost cause. um, so we have getting lost. Then we have the obvious animals: bears, mountain lions, snakes, things like that. Obviously, if a snake bite, if it's venomous, usually you would find your body, obviously, but some of them you don't make it that long. Some of them you can. Bear attacks obviously can shred you. Mountain lion is the same thing. There's a lot out there that we don't know about. Let me see. You mark the trees on your way in so you know your way back. Laugh out loud one way. Yes. And so what I found interesting and what I would probably have to do is over in Japan in that certain forest that everybody talks about, they use string and they tie it and they take the string to wherever they're going to go so they can find their way back out if they choose to come back out. That would probably be something I'd have to do. Red ribbons. Yeah, there you go. Red ribbons. Yeah. Yeah, because you couldn't leave. You know how in the fairy tales we talk about leaving breadcrumbs, and they're like, "What about the birds going to eat the breadcrumbs?" They toss in the sky. See, my mom did not put me in no Girl Scouts. Nothing. I don't have those survival skills. Hey, sorry I'm late. Also, thank you. I'm so happy you came. You're never late. You're right on time. right on time. I was about to go through. It's about 9:53, so I was about to run through the photos one more time for everybody in case anybody missed them, and kind of do a quick Cliff Notes version for anybody popping in that might have missed the beginning. We started with this beautiful photo. I'm going to run them one more time. Hello, Bunker in Bon Air. I love it. If you feel it, chase it. It might be chasing me, Robert. If I'm in the woods, it's chasing me because I'm like, all you gotta do is tell me to get out one time, and I'm like, okay, thanks. I like the land where I can see everything around me. So this is the area we're talking about, Glastenbury Mountains in Vermont, known as the Bennington Triangle. I'm just gonna run through these pictures again. It goes way back to the Abenaki tribe. They said this particular area is where all four winds, so north, south, east, and west, come to a point. And where it comes to a point should be a forbidden forest because you can get lost in another dimension. So they believed at that point, if you were there, you would probably disappear. You would go to wherever they believed you went to. And again, we talked about how obviously if you're in here and you're walking, compasses are going to be wonky. Even today, I don't know many people that use compasses anymore. I mean, I'm not a wilderness person, so they do. Where I live, we are surrounded by mountains. That is beautiful. You have to drive. Like I'm an hour, 40 minutes, give or take, from the Charlottesville and Shenandoah and stuff. What is it? Robert, how far are we from Shenandoah? Like 45 minutes, an hour? I'm not that far from Baltimore, so maybe you know better than me. I go up there because my son has a developmental doctor up there, and it takes us about an hour to get there. So before all these disappearances and all that, it was a logging town. So all the people, I showed these beautiful pictures. If it's going to pop up. Here's a picture, an actual picture from back then. And we're talking 1800s, guys. And then it became a ghost town because, it all left. Here's another one. So this is what it looked like. I'm going to show you these pictures one more time. I know we're getting really close to the end here. Here's one of the logging ones. See, they have their animals, the logs. It's so cool. I love old pictures. I love history. David has it easy. My better half has it easy because I'm not like a wine and dine girl. If you know some history and could take me to a historic location, you have my heart. I'm not hard to please. And if it's haunted, you have brownie points. Here's what it would look like back then if you lived. My daughter's laughing at her cat. And then we kind of just talked about people that were missing. And that's pretty much the gist. I would leave breadcrumbs too. The breadcrumbs would be long gone. I love how you put it in parentheses. That is so cool. All right, guys. I would love... Oh, before you guys go, announcement. Next Friday, I'm so excited to announce I have a special guest. So get your questions ready because she is a cosmic doula. Let me say that again because that is so cool for me. Let me get bigger. She is a cosmic doula. She is my guest next week, same time. She's going to talk about what a cosmic doula is, what services she does, how she got there. I'm so excited, guys, to introduce her to you. It's going to be a great time. Yeah, right. So please make sure, if you can, no pressure, bring your questions for her. And I'll let her explain what a cosmic doula is. Because when I saw that, I was like, that is so cool. I love that name. M&M's. So for once, you guys don't have to only hear me talk. I'll have a guest to talk because it's been a while. So I'm so excited. We're going to talk about all things cosmic doula and whatever that means for her and what she does and, how that works. Yeah, it's cool. It's going to be cool. When I saw that, I was like, I need to talk to you. What is a cosmic doula? I need a cosmic doula. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, guys. Well, I've taken you guys a lot of time up. I want to thank each and you guys for the conversation. That means more to me than anything. The fact that you chose to be here when you could be anywhere else on a Friday night. I'm so thankful. Again, tune in next week. The Cosmic Duo will be here with me. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Do something for yourself and have a great, great, great night.